Right. Looks like, yes, we are now live. Awesome. All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another great episode of Conversations Under the Hood. I'm your host, Robert Helm, and my wonderful counterpart here, Dr. Lindy Wade Helm. I think she's really the host, y'all. I'm the counter host, but the counterpart. But anyway,
what he said.
Yeah. So we just want to welcome everybody tonight. We hope that anyone who is watching, if you have any comments, questions, or anything, please feel free to share them. We are looking forward to wrapping up some of the things that we started out for 2024, right?
Yeah.
As we go into 2025.
Yeah.
And part of that was last week, right? We got to talking about some of the questions that we received, right?
They keep coming too, but we cannot answer them all.
I know.
It's only 1 hour.
It was so fun though, man. It really was, because it was like, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I watched it and I found myself laughing a lot, because I didn't realize how funny my history was. But it's pretty exciting. So how was your week thus far?
It was really fast.
Yeah.
Really fast. It was really good. I only have to work a couple days a week, but I was on call, so that made it, go even faster.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, these holiday seasons, I find myself on call, being in IT and all of that. But I have a great team, so they do their work. I just have to stay alert, making sure that I'm there and hearing everything. But,
So you're the go-to gal, is that what you're saying?
Almost. Yeah. Just have to balance things, make sure.
Oh, that's awesome.
All of the above. Yeah.
Hey.
How about your week?
Hey, well, I know my week was not nearly as hectic as yours. I was just sitting here thinking, like, some of the other things that you were doing, helping our wonderful daughter get on her way and get to moving about.
Yeah, that's right.
So that I thought was pretty cool. So that's always nice, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to share this here, so just bear with me 1 second.
Awesome.
So tell me a little bit about the
people who joined.
What's that? Oh, great.
Yeah.
Well, tell me a little bit about the moving, man, because I didn't know what all was going on when you guys were talking about. Oh, I'm gonna go visit and do all that. I was like,
it was really good to spend time with my daughter. Yeah. She's grown, and I have to accept that now that she's grown. She literally have her own place to live, and go visit her, and I try to not to mommy her too much.
True.
You know what I'm saying? Because the first thing you want to do, you just want to start organizing, cleaning, and all that. She's like, Mom, no, that's not what you're here for. So I had to, respect her boundaries. I had to
remember those days?
Yeah. So I was like, okay, all right, honey, well, whatever I can do to help.
All right, cool. It looks like we are rocking and rolling here.
Yeah,
Let me slide on down to the comments. Yeah.
Awesome.
So let's recap a little bit. We were talking about last week, right? A few of the questions, and I know I still have a few notes here, because I know one of the big things that we talked about was the food, the culinary differences. Yeah. I laughed about that after I watched that show again, because I had such a vivid memory of that experience. Well,
the land shrimps.
Well,
that's what it was. I'm sticking with that.
Okay,
Except that it's a little bit more colorful.
Yeah, I'll go with land shrimp, if that's what you want to say.
Yeah.
But I was trying to decide which one of those was the most shocking, and like I said, with this land shrimp, as you referred to them, I would say that was somewhat surprising, because I could relate to, like, the one thing I didn't mention that I was thinking about, I'm like, man, I've eaten things that were probably to others would look very much like what I was looking at. I don't know. Have you ever had hog head cheese?
You? No, like not you, but I guess that's it. Hog as in swine, as in pig.
Yeah.
Cheese. Like, that's how like earwax. That's so.
I
don't know.
Hey, that's sick, because it almost tastes like earwax.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, no, that's funny.
I never had hog. What do you call it? Hog's cheese?
It's called hog head cheese.
Hog head cheese.
Yes.
Wow. No, I don't think I've ever. Well, let's put it this way. I don't really eat pork. My mom she didn't eat pork, so never prepared it for us, and I don't think we were even allowed to eat it from the neighbors.
Oh man.
So
Yeah.
let alone hog ear pig cheese, whatever that is.
Hog head cheese.
Hog head cheese.
You know what's the reason why I
Hog
mentioned that
earwax,
because
yeah.
I thought it was just like you know how they got all the different names for cheese.
Yeah.
That when I was a kid, I actually thought it was just a different name for a different kind of cheese. Well, I guess kind of in a way it is, but you know, because I ate. Have you ever had bologna with like olives in it? You know, like
yeah, I can see
not
that.
on it, but in it. Like when you slice it, it's got like.
I've seen that.
Okay.
I've seen
All
that.
right. All right. So hog's head cheese is kind of like that, except it's not olives. It's head particles.
Okay. Okay. I mean I can see that. You know what? There are so many interesting delicacies, you know, wherever you go in the world. So I didn't mean to say ew. All I can hear, the first thing you said, I thought you said like earwax or something like that. Pig earwax. So that's where my mind went to.
Pig earwax, man.
I don't know. Cheese and head and pig. I couldn't put that together, you know. But I can imagine. My mind just got discombobulated.
Yes, that is hilarious. I'm sorry. That is funny.
My mind just went all over the place.
Yeah.
But, you know, just similar to what I'm teasing about land shrimp, I think there's value also in respecting or even being curious about different kind of delicacies from all over the world, right? So...
Right.
I know I teased too much. You know, my first expression was like, "Hey, what is that?" But really, then the next expression was like, that's interesting." You know.
Yeah.
I will have a hard time testing, you know, trying that, just because I don't eat pork.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So, but other than that.
Yeah. Well, hey, I think that one definitely. Yeah. So anyway, I found myself thinking about the conversation that we had throughout the week. So yeah. But my week, outside of that. It was pretty interesting. You know, I spent a lot of time working on the project that we're going to talk about a little bit later on in the show. But, you know, definitely trying to close out this year, you know, 2024. That was a decision that I made about almost 2 weeks ago now. Was just I kind of stopped for a moment to see where am I at before I start to move into the next year, you know what I mean? In terms of like the goals and things that I had set for myself at the beginning of last year. And I just didn't really feel like I had done anything that made me feel like this would have been a good year, or you know what I mean? Like I got something good out of the year, or if you will. So this past week or so, that's what I've been doing, is just really putting in, you know, kind of double timing it, if you will, to wrap up the year with something that I can feel good about. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
And reflecting.
Reflecting for sure. You know, that's what got me there, is, you know, realizing that I need to do something more, you know. And so, you know, at least for my own, you know.
Yeah. I don't want to take this show backwards.
Okay.
But I had a question today, and I said I was going to ask my husband. It goes back to the cultural differences.
Okay.
Just one question, and
Okay.
we can go on to the happenings of 2024. But the question was, you know, when you first landed in South Africa, you know, Johannesburg Airport, otherwise Oliver Tambo Airport, what was your first impression, and what was the feeling, you know, and what happened? You know what I'm saying? What things were confirmed, and what things were surprising?
So like, what was my first impression, kind of?
Yeah, impression and feeling and all of that. Impression.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, that's a good question, because when I reflect on that, actually, and I did a lot, you know, way back when we went to South Africa. It has been a while since I thought about it. I guess not a long while, though, because I do tend to find gratification, right, in that experience. And one thing was, when I first got off the plane, right, I thought we turned around and went back to America, like, you know, back to man,
Chicago, even.
Doggone stink bugs, man. Look, they go on.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, pay attention.
I'm sorry. I get
Squirrel.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But you know, because that was my first time ever traveling, like really traveling much at all, but traveling that far out of the country. And we stopped in what was it, Amsterdam, I think.
Yep, Amsterdam.
And so when I got to Amsterdam, I was like, it was a different experience because everything looked foreign there. You know what I mean? Like everything I was hearing, the language, the signs, everything. It was actually intimidating in a way because I was like, man, if I get separated, I'm gonna be lost.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that was the experience there. And then when I got to South Africa, I was kind of expecting the same thing. Like it was going to be foreign, just like nothing was going to be recognizable. And when we walked through the tunnel and came out into the main part of the airport, and I saw just beautiful black people everywhere and all these restaurants and everything that I'm used to seeing. That's why I thought we just turned around and went back to New York.
We did a U-turn.
Yeah, I was just like, maybe, again, I didn't travel, so I don't really know I didn't know what that process was.
Right.
So that was interesting. And then as I interacted, right, because I'm just talking about, that's my first visual when I saw the people, I was just like, oh man, we done went back home.
Right.
But then when I started interacting with the people, like people like just the flight attendants and the security and the people, the restaurant, I like all of that.
Yeah.
That's when it hit me that I was really in a different place. Yeah. Because the
accent.
Well, yeah, the accent. Yeah. And just the kindness, the friendliness, the outgoingness, and it seemed like it was everybody. And like my experience here has kind of been more like you
have to break the ice.
Well, not even break the ice, but even like in a room with 25 people, how many of those people are going to be friendly and outgoing? You know what I mean? That's kind of, I don't want to say it's a rare commodity, but it's not usually everybody or a whole lot of body, let's just say. So that experience for me was like, it was really inviting. I felt like that made me feel like home in a different way. So my first was like, oh, we just turned around and went back. The second was like, dang, they accept me, they receive me, they, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was very welcoming,
So I'm gonna ask a silly question.
Uh-oh.
Then when you get to this Oliver Tambo airport.
Hold on. We can't be. I almost forgot that we had. We were talking to other people too here. We got a couple of guests in here in Tombi.
Hello,
welcome,
Tombi.
family. Welcome. It's so good to see you.
Thank
then
you.
We also have another family member here, Mr. Demarius Hogan. How you doing there, nephew? Welcome.
Awesome. Welcome.
If you guys have any questions or any comments, please don't hesitate to put them in the comments here, because we will get to talking and forget that we have other people participating in the show.
We enjoy your participation.
Yeah, so we appreciate you, and we encourage you to definitely. Oh, look at there. We got Miss Caldwell, Miss Virginia Caldwell. Welcome, sister. How you doing?
Sis.
Yes. Wow.
Oh my goodness, so good to have you here.
Absolutely. Thank you to everybody who joined us. So,
awesome.
But anyway, go back to your question.
So Johannesburg Airport, otherwise known as Oliver Tambo. Everything that you've been taught about Africa, let alone South Africa,
right?
What was your first impression regarding that? I always tease and say you probably expected us to be picked up by a donkey from some village or whatever. No offense, but it's just that the perception of the continent is super erroneous. Yeah, it's so incorrect.
Absolutely.
It's kind of, and it just makes me, but I never thought about that until I got this question today. Like, what was confirmed, in terms of like what you knew about the continent, and what was your real experience there when you get to the airport and all of that, in terms of what you've seen and discovery, other people will talk about the continent.
So I answered the airport, right? Yeah. That was my genuine experience at the airport.
Right.
As far as the other aspects, it was mind blowing. Honestly, it was shocking because, here growing up, they portray places in Africa, different countries in Africa, to not be bustling societies, not first world or second world type countries. It's usually a third
just
world
hunger,
mindset.
Diseases. By the way, those are not African. That's not African media portraying that. Okay. Which explains the rest.
Of course.
Right.
So hence the ignorance, that I mean, that I had at that time. So
in terms of lacking information.
Right.
Yeah.
But I had, an advantage at the same time, that I have to acknowledge. and that is, before we went, by
She said, right,
that's right.
ridiculousness, you know.
Yeah, don't hesitate to respond to these comments because
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
mind getting interrupted. But no, matter of fact, I got interrupted now. I forgot what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
The other aspects of Africa were shocking to me
Yeah.
actually, because you know, oh, I know exactly what I was gonna say now. I remember because I was saying I had an advantage
Yeah.
before actually getting to Africa or to
Mm.
South Africa
Mm.
because before, if you remember, we used to look at houses. You used to show
Oh,
me real
right.
estate
So
over
some
there. Yeah.
stereotypes were already evaporating,
Well,
if
not
you will.
necessarily evaporated. It was like still I still had questions. I'm like, man, there ain't no way.
Yeah,
There ain't no way.
this is just a website.
Yeah, ain't no way. So I had, more mentality like that. So
Yeah.
to see that it was, way more than I could ever even imagine,
Mm-hmm.
just a perfect example. Like you said, when we got picked up from the airport, I didn't have like certain things I didn't walk through in my
Mm-hmm.
mind, so I didn't imagine like what it would be
You didn't
like.
expect the giddy
Yeah.
up, right?
No, I didn't. I didn't know what to expect, honestly.
I just remember you say, "Is this Africa?" I was like, "Yeah, we're here. This is South Africa." You're like, "Wow,
Yeah.
look at all these brothers on their cell phones,
All of that,
sisters
man,
all
driving
dressed in-"
Porsches, like
Yeah,
just everything, like all of that.
yeah,
That's what I'm saying. Those things were very surprising because I remember vividly the one thing that I just was like, wow, man.
yeah.
When we got to like, all right, so hold on, let me backtrack. Let's go back to Cape Town when we
Oh,
when we got to Cape
yes,
Town.
yes.
That
Cape Town
when
is
we got
beautiful.
there, that's when I was like, I knew I was in like heaven
Yeah,
because it was like we got there in the daytime, but it was like I remember looking out the window. I felt like I was in Italy. The idea that they
yeah,
show you on TV about Italy, like this beautiful seaside, experience,
yeah.
like
Mountains,
yeah, and
Table
so I'm
Mountain.
looking out this window and I'm overlooking a marketplace that's right on the seaside or the
Yeah.
ocean side,
Hmm.
and it's all beautiful artifacts and things, and I'm just like, wow, it's so beautiful, it's so nice, and the temperature was so nice, and
Perfect.
the air,
Yeah.
just like everything was perfect, and I'm saying, man, this is nothing like what I expected. So that part was when I started to say, wait a minute. This is
Are we
very
in
different
South
than,
Africa?
yeah, that's why I asked, are we in Africa? Because this don't seem like, I was expecting to see
Yeah.
animals too, right? I definitely, like, I'm
Yeah.
thinking, because every
Yeah.
time you
Mr.
see,
Lion and his children,
exactly,
the
all of that.
neighbor.
So,
No, I'm just kidding.
the area that we were in Cape Town, it was
Mm.
beautiful, but it wasn't like Johannesburg. And that's what I'm saying. When we got to Johannesburg,
Yeah.
that's what turned on the lights for me as far as how real different Africa is than the way that it's portrayed.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's like New York. It's a big old gigantic city with people
Yeah.
everywhere doing everything.
And very wealthy. That's another thing that a
All
lot of
different
people get.
spectrums. Yeah.
Don't be say, imagine how many still think Africa is a jungle. Yes, you'll be surprised, but you know what? I started being more patient and compassionate because I start realizing that, a lot of us are really brainwashed, if you will, by the media portraying certain parts, of Africa as if it's the whole continent.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting, I can find worse places here in the US. But I just don't think that other media, especially African media, is interested in portraying other human beings, and their poverty and everything what they're going through to the whole world, right? That's not the interest. And then the question begs, who gains what by portraying the continent as if it's just a jungle full of animals or diseases or everything else, right?
Hey,
So-
Virginia blowing it up in there. Hey, I heard. Listen,
Mhm.
man, this is so true.
Yeah.
She says, so I honestly think the portrayal of the continent of Africa in this way is, for many reasons. Some include justification for the past, minimization of the importance of the land and contributions of the culture, and to discourage the desire to reconnect with indigenous roots.
Girl.
Hey, you said it
Well
all
done,
right there.
mister.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you said it all right there. Because
Yeah,
you're absolutely right.
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
those are the things that, that were like light bulbs for me,
Mhm.
because when I got to South Africa, the one thing, like, and I know I'm kind of jumping around because, like, this was a piece that was important to me.
Right.
Seeing black people in particularly that were doing everything
Yeah.
from the lowest job to the president.
Right.
That had a huge impact on me because I already had the frame of mind of doing things for myself.
Right.
But there was limitations. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? And because of in America, well, back at that time, we didn't have a black president, and that
Yeah.
wasn't, like an idea that most of us dreamed of, maybe.
Oh,
You see what I'm
right,
saying?
right.
And so
I
when I
think
got there and I saw that, I was like, wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing. And then it also made me realize that there's possibilities beyond what your environment exposes you to, because if you don't get out and travel the world,
Yeah.
then whatever picture is painted for you by
Yeah. And you
your
don't have a
environment,
frame of reference.
yeah,
Right?
is going to make
So
you.
you can negate, your brain cannot negate what it doesn't know.
Indeed.
So, and what you know, if it's on TV, the media, they say picture is what? How many thousand words?
But listen,
but it does.
books. Unfortunately, books and pictures don't do it justice. Though.
Yeah, books is where they hide information.
I know, but I'm saying for
A lot of people
to be able to connect with us, like, man, it's hard to describe that feeling. It really is, because when depending on your mindset, right, and how much you understand history, world history, or your own history, it just was amazing. And then from that to the hospitality, to just the genius. I remember seeing guys making bricks with their bare hands, watching them make beautiful walls, beautiful structures with their bare hand, making art, carving, making stuff out of,
Oh,
just
yeah. The
everything.
table that you fell in love with. I'm like, honey, we can take this gigantic table to America with us.
Look, the table was
just
already,
carved
what
out
did they
of
say,
perfect
$35,000?
Right.
And about $30,000 to ship it. So, that wasn't real practical. But it was eye-opening to help me
That's
know.
human ingenuity. That was, amazing. Absolutely.
We got another guest here, Miss Talia Daniels. Welcome.
Oh, hey, Talia.
Oh, we about to have a family reunion in here. I see what's going on.
All right, you got more comments, by the way.
Yes, well, let me catch up. You read faster than I do, so let's jump back here. All right, let's see. Why is it jumping around? What happened? All right.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Very resourceful individual. Absolutely, the human ingenuity there. Like when I used to teach.
Are you responding to a comment, or you?
Yeah, there was a comment, below, but we can start.
Okay, let's go. Let's start with Talia. She says, when I came back from Nigeria, my palm-colored chiropractor.
All right, Talia. Ask if I saw any lions or tigers. Yeah, I was like, I never went to the zoo. And I said nothing after that, just stared and waiting for a follow-up question. He did not ask another question.
Is it okay to laugh at that one, Doc? Can I laugh at that?
You know what, Talia, that's so you.
I'm going to laugh at that.
Talia, she was one of those sisters. I remember, she used to wear her natural hair, and she started looking at it at some point.
Yes.
And of course, somebody asked her a question, and I remember, and I quote, somebody said, wow, you wearing your hair natural. And Talia was like, yeah, just like you.
Yeah.
And that was the end of conversation.
Man, that's ridiculous. All right, listen, we got,
I miss y'all.
Tommy said, yes, very resourceful individuals. You know what?
Yeah.
I learned a lot. Let me just put it like that. I left the U.S., with some construction background.
Yeah.
With some other skilled trades background.
Yeah.
And I thought, I don't want to say I was arrogant.
By the way. Yeah, licensed builder.
I don't want to say I was arrogant, but I think there was some level of confidence that may have been overexpressed. That's how I'm going to say that. But either way,
confidence that was overexpressed. No, I love that.
It expanded my horizons. That's what I was trying to go with it, is to see people able to do things that I didn't even know was possible, right? Because I know we have machines and equipment that do the things that I was watching these guys do with their hands.
Right.
So that for me was eye-opening and inspiring. So
yeah.
Yes, Ntombi, very, very resourceful.
Yeah.
Now we got, let's see here, what did Miss Caldwell say? Imagine how empowered we would feel if we saw that firsthand. Absolutely. Why come back to the hood? Yes, there is no one that is black. That term was also used to separate Native Africans in
All right.
America from their heritage.
Right.
Like,
So
hey,
that
she dropping knowledge. Go ahead.
right. So history,
Mm-hmm.
it's amazing because it makes you predict not only that, but with critical thinking, you start thinking, how did we get here?
Right.
Why do I perceive things the way I do?
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, why is my mind resisting what it is not being exposed to?
Right.
I'm so used to be told this, to be shown this,
Mm-hmm.
and now that I'm experiencing something new or hearing new thing or whatever, why am I, having this conflict? So a lot to come, but you know what? The I used to teach at St. Coffer,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a very Afrocentric school.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember my kids, used to ask, say, "Hey, Mama Linda, you don't look African," and it was really interesting to me because I was like, what is African supposed to look like?
Right.
And then when they went into describing and with the humor in it and all of that, at first I was quite perplexed,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit annoyed, but because I love kids,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I find myself getting more curious and start asking them, "Well, what did you see there?" I said, "I'm
Right.
African as you can think. What did you see?
Mm-hmm.
All these things that you're describing. Like you don't have a bone in your nose, you don't have paint in your face, but they were kids, right?"
Right.
And I started thinking, who is putting this imagery in this beautiful, like, kids' mind?
Right.
Because I look just like them,
Right.
and they very surprised by that. And so at some point, I just took all the kids, different, complexion,
Mm-hmm.
from a very melanated kid all the way to a very light kid, you can find, and I put them in front of the classroom.
Right.
I said, this is what Africa looks like.
Right.
All of you kids are Africans in America,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
And this is what Africa looks like. I don't represent everybody in Africa, and you'll be very surprised because you can find all shades,
Mm-hmm.
all sizes, all, then it's so funny because you can see the little wheel, turning, but
Right.
it starts right there, right? Validating our kids at every opportunity, appreciating them at every opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
and not play this color complex. It's just like something that we're given to keep busy so we don't pay attention to the real knowledge
Right. What's
that
important?
can really what's important.
Right.
So with history. And one last question, I'm going to go to that. They ask, like, hey, Mama Linda, because we're teaching them about Kemet, why it was Kemet and how it became Egypt, and all of that.
Right.
And so they started asking, how did the Egyptians build these pyramids?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you know what? Before we get into the details about science, let's start right here, because nobody told them they couldn't.
Right. Exactly.
It starts right there, right? Like we are capable of way more than we can even begin to imagine, because the mind and all those sparks going on every millisecond in your mind, that's being suppressed because there's always somebody telling you that you cannot.
Right.
It's almost like turning the light off,
Right.
and then you don't see everything else in the room, and you lack the ability to explore because the light is turned off.
Right.
And how do you turn off the light? You tell the child that you cannot,
Right.
you will not, you are not.
You know what? And that's interesting because just to follow up with that, while I was in South Africa, I remember sitting under the peach tree at your sister's house, and there I would write every day pretty much for I don't even know how long. It seemed like months, but different things that I would see that could be done, right? Because as I was gaining experience watching these guys do stuff, it started making me think of the things that I used to do in America and the things that I seen here in America,
Right.
that I didn't know I could do, or that could be done. You see what I'm saying? And so, from my entrepreneurial frame of mind, it really started expanding. I mean, so much so, right? So much so that I'm almost embarrassed to say this, but it was a big, for me at that time in my life with everything that was going on, and it was significant.
Humbling experience also.
Well, not even that, because this what I'm about to share is when I met the heads of the South African Basketball Association. You remember when I had that
That's
meeting with
right,
them?
because you played basketball.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
Well, so and look, playing the professional basketball, that was a great experience, But what was more exciting, like to really reinforce everything that I'm saying, right, about the wow and the possibility of doing
Yeah,
everything.
yeah,
Meeting that guy, having a chance to sit down and talk to him and
yeah,
present to him the idea that I have for turning the South African Basketball Association into something like the NBA.
yeah, yeah,
Where on I couldn't even dream about that here.
yeah,
You see what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
And that's what I'm trying
Especially,
to
yeah,
say.
because you
Sitting
really need to
there
make it. Yeah.
over a drink, I'm laying out. I got this huge piece of paper that I've been. You remember that I had rolled up
Yeah,
like a blueprint, man,
yeah,
laid out, and the fact that he was actually taking me serious. You like I said, that was a mind blowing experience. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so for me, the biggest lesson, the biggest thing that I learned, and my biggest impression about South Africa anyway, and I'm sure that in many other
Hmm.
areas of Africa it applies too, is
Hmm.
that there is unlimited possibilities.
Unlimited, and you know what? Famous people, they shock for me because I've been in America for a while.
Hmm.
So going back, everything seemed familiar. I could see a huge progress from when I left.
Hmm.
After, of course, I came here in 1989 and apartheid ended in 1994. So we went back in 2007.
Right.
It was amazing, how people in, indigenous South Africans in particular, how much they were able to accomplish in such, short amount of time.
Right.
As soon as apartheid, was, it's not over in so many aspects. So, but, a lot of things that got better. People really worked hard and took advantage of that.
Hmm.
So for me, the biggest shock was like how accessible people, famous people were.
Right.
Like actors and actresses, like seeing them
Oh
in
yeah.
Johannesburg, at
Yeah.
restaurants, and they just acting like everybody else.
Yeah.
That was really shocking. I'm like, oh my God, we were just watching. Remember those soap operas? Call them soapies back
Yeah.
home. One of the soapies,
And then we met that guy at the
yeah, and
restaurant.
we met that guy. He was just standing there waiting to
Yeah.
order. We're like,
Yeah.
is that it? So yes, that is me. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, you
I
never,
know,
you
right?
don't see that,
Hey,
here
watch it.
at all. I mean, I went checking.
You
him
don't
out.
for me.
You already, I see you every day, so I don't get the well,
Yeah.
every now and then.
Right.
I get the but
No, I forgot about that. You know
Yeah.
what? But see, again, that reinforces what I was saying about
so silly.
the possibility of doing anything, right? Because just like we met that gentleman,
Mhm.
we also had the opportunity to meet that gentleman who was he like the vice president or something like that?
Mhm.
When you were over there promoting your sister's
Oh
books,
yeah,
remember?
my sister's book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where's that book? Yeah, they are not woman enough. So yeah, meeting the government officials,
Uh-huh.
and sitting at the table talking with them, but
Yeah.
having fun. But then again, I realized that they
It might be down
still
there somewhere.
just as much. Oh, that's okay. I'll find it. Just as much as we have stereotypes here about, or people have stereotypes about Africa.
Uh-oh. Hey,
still-
somebody's trying to start some stuff.
What?
Virginia Caldwell, I'm loving you, my sister. You see what she said here?
I'm still under the hood.
You ain't under no hood. She said you got your big head sticking out, looking like one of them yard ornaments.
I'm gonna have to talk to you about that.
See me after the show.
See me after the show. You'll be surprised what you can find under the hood.
Yes, I'm trying to tell you.
But with all of that, one of the stereotypes, in Africa is that while the media shows the African continent in a way that we've described, the opposite is exactly what's going on as well. Because in South Africa, we used to watch all kind of soap operas about America. Right? Our
Yeah.
Days of Our Lives, Santa Barbara, Beverly Hills, whatever,
Beverly Hills 90210?
90210, whatever it was.
I thought you were talking about the Beverly Hillbillies. I'm sorry.
Not that, but whatever it was. So you have this, she's like, call me girl, I will.
Yeah.
You have this idea of America being, those Santa Barbara, whatever you see on TV, right? So me being in South Africa, one of the things that made it easy, in terms of access to government officials or, wealthy people, sometimes it's like my accent is somewhere in the middle.
Right.
It's wherever I go now in the world, I have an accent, right? So in South Africa, they're hearing this accent and they, hear your American accent. They're like, oh, okay, they come from America. So we were getting that kind of attention, like, oh yeah, come sit with us, let's talk. People that they wouldn't otherwise talk to you if they didn't think you were somewhat special, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was really amazing. But for me, once I got in the airport here, it was Detroit Airport in 1989. I was a kid, I was very young. So I had this America that was just, everything was big brick houses, and I was expecting to see very rich people walking up and down the street. So we got picked up from Detroit Airport, and the first place we went was Ann Arbor. So I was there with my family in Ann Arbor. I remember the following day I got up and got ready, and put my little African outfit on and, eat as quickly as I can, because in my mind, I honestly thought it was just another stop.
Mm-hmm.
We had 2 stops before, we got here, because it couldn't possibly be America.
Mm-hmm.
The things I was just like, oh, maybe we're just stopping, spending the night. We're going to get up, get in a plane, and go to the real America, the America that I had in mind. So I had
the America you wanted to go to.
The America that I saw on TV.
Right.
And then, so everybody is not getting ready. And I'm looking at everybody, I was like, can we go now? What are we waiting for? They're like, honey, we not going where? I said, to America. They're like, honey, this is America. I cried my eyeballs out. I was like, no, this is not America. Look at the houses.
Wow.
They're made out of plastic.
Now,
I was not
ironic?
used to the siding,
Yeah.
aluminum siding,
Yeah.
vinyl siding, because, back home, houses are bricks. Are
Brick
made out
and
of
marble
bricks
and
and,
ceramic.
marble, ceramics.
All hard material.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was expecting this America. I was like, look at the houses are made out of tins and plastic. And look at this dead grass. This can't be America,
That's ironic though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I had the exact opposite experience.
Right.
So me going to South Africa, I had the like everything, and you get over here and you crying. So
I wanted to go to the America I saw on TV.
So Tony says it's as if the TV is television.
Television. Let me tell you, live video. I like that.
Hey.
But it's like, who's advertising who? America does a great job advertising itself to the world. That's why you find a lot of geniuses from all over the world willing to come to America just to work at the restaurants. You know what I'm saying? I was lucky because I came when I was young. So I finished, high school here, and, my education, everything was here. So,
right.
But I know a lot of people that were doctors in, other countries, South America, Africa, and all that, sacrificing all that geniuses to come here just to work at the restaurant before they can, make it, to so-called American dream.
Right.
But the biggest advantage then is like you get all the geniuses from all over the world to come and contribute to this, economy, right? And
settle on an idea.
Right, an idea. But then it's all about advertisement, right? America does a great job advertising itself. Africa, I don't know how much role we play in that market, but I can tell you, like, sometimes I watch movies, about Africa, and I get sad. You can tell how we feel and view ourselves. Or at least the people that are in the industry making movies. I see other cultures showing the best of their best, even with the beauty and all that kind of stuff, regardless of what the story is. Right? And then sometimes, when I watch the movies that are made about Africa, sometimes I'm just like, well, no wonder people ask the questions that they're asking me. And then when you look at the author, you look at the director, you look at everybody is Black, but why are you still portraying this in such an attractive way?
Instead of highlighting
the positive, like when you say, like, you and I used to watch, karate movies. So the handsome son, the scenery, the flowers, the mountain, even the fight, and the attire and all of that.
Right.
And then for us, I feel like some of the movies, and we do exactly the opposite. So I say the people that are creative like that, look at how we portray ourselves. There's so much beauty. I have to applaud for the Nigerians, though. I've seen some of the, TV shows and all of them portraying intelligence, beauty, success. you know, and things that, you know, so that we have to, you know, continue to do that because it goes a long way.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
You know, and as an African mother, imagine when I have to correct the stereotypes about African to my own kids.
Imagine
Because
that.
when they go out there, the world tells them what Africa is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So when I look for movies to at least give them a different view, and then it starts with the stereotypes, but then I have to think that, okay, they're trying to sell this to the market. Why is it that a lot of people are still addicted to this kind of imagery when it comes to Africa?
Well, it supports the ideology, you know.
It's
That
supposed
makes
to-
people,
and
some
yeah.
people feel better, right? It makes,
Right.
yeah,
It's,
so,
it's bizarre. But
Yeah.
anyway.
yeah. No, that's and that's
Tell
that's
a
true.
vision.
Yeah.
That is so true.
100
Yeah.
television. Tell whatever your
Yeah.
vision is, or it should say tell the version. You
Oh.
telling your version of the story
Right.
because that's what it really should say.
Right,
But-
exactly.
So hold
And
on.
don't be too. She said when she got to the UK, she was shocked. There are
Mm-hmm.
houses that don't have swimming pools here. You know, back home, remember my sister,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's almost like every South African has a swimming pool. People are just rich there and they're doing really well. Right?
You know what? Hold on.
Yeah.
On that note, I do want to say this because this plays in again to the ooh and the ah, right?
Yeah.
In our venture to South Africa, what is the thing that we just learned recently about buying
Oh,
properties
right.
and stuff over there?
Right. So
Or
we
building
were.
properties over there, excuse me.
Right. So without going too much into details about that, reconnecting, because I do want my kids to connect strongly, you know, to South Africa. So we started looking at real estate there.
Mm-hmm.
And here's what we learn as we work with, you know, realtors in South Africa. Like whatever it is that you buy or build, it has to have a swimming pool. Otherwise, you know, your resale is not, you think about resale.
Right.
You know, the average person won't buy a house without swimming pool because that's not normal. You know,
Right.
that's not, unless you go into the rural area where it's a total different, you know, expectations. But
Right.
if you're going to be in the city, you have to have a house, not only with a swimming pool, but the maid quarters.
That's exactly what I was
You know
going
what
to
I'm
say.
saying? Yeah, like
Y'all
you
hear
have
that?
to build.
You got to build your house with other people in mind.
Yeah, with the maid quarters. Like
That's
it's
right.
expected that you're going to have a house helper, one for outside, one for inside.
Right.
And so that was the shocking thing for South Africans about you. You know, so my husband being American.
Oh, wait a minute.
you
We
know.
switching? We switching?
We're
topics?
switching, we're switching,
Hold on. All right,
we're
wait.
switching.
Before we do that, all right,
Okay, but yeah.
we 41, almost 42 minutes into this show.
Right, okay.
Is there anything that we want to address from last week? Any nuggets that we can drop real quick here? Or are we going to hold everything to the end? Because I want to try to reserve just a couple of minutes so we can fall into just sharing a little bit about the problem solving tool.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, no, for me, I just want to end it with I had a great speaker, you know, that I follow said, and I can't think of the name, you know, remind me of, but he always uses this analogy that remember that everything that you think you know and everything that you're aware of is within the circumference of this circle. Keep in mind that there's so much more to know outside your awareness.
Right.
Outside the realm of your awareness.
Right.
So every time you come into new knowledge, like in other words, expand your horizon. I can tell you, and it's my bias, but the average person in this country is super arrogant, right?
Okay.
That's why you hear, you know, phrases such as the whole world knows. But you've never left your backyard.
Right.
What is the whole world? Your backyard?
Right.
Lansing, Michigan, Oculus,
Right.
Michigan, or whatever.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right,
So
right.
it's the realizing that that's not your whole world. Or another thing is like, well, it's not true because I'm not aware of it. Well,
Wow.
again,
Yeah.
what you're aware of is
Yeah.
within the circumference
Yeah,
of the
exactly.
circle.
Right.
So as we're talking here, you know, I hope one of the nugget I want to leave around is like, you know, especially when it comes to cultures of others and otherism, if you open yourself to be curious and to, from a very appreciative standpoint, you will quickly uncover that, you know, things that you are taught about Africa or any other third world countries or continents, if you will, that's somebody's perspective.
Right.
And ask yourself, what do they have to gain?
What's the motive?
Yeah, what's the motive?
Yeah.
You know, because I was like, you know, when I was interviewing for a CEO position in the
Yes,
hospital,
yeah,
went to
yeah.
Alabama, and
Yeah.
I've seen worse, you know, the poverty that will make your eyes bleed, you know. And but in my mind, it wasn't like, oh my God, Africa is not as poor as this. In my mind, I was like, a country this wealthy, this is unacceptable.
Mm-hmm.
So it just really hit home. But being in healthcare, you have that level of empathy, right?
Right.
So I just saw something that is so unacceptable. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so keep an open mind, be a lifelong learner,
Mm-hmm.
and never think you know everything and never think you know enough. That's my nugget from
Yeah.
everything that we're talking about.
No, that's absolutely right. And Tomby says it's good to be open-minded enough to learn something new.
Yeah,
And yeah, that's spot on.
you
I
have
couldn't
to.
agree more. But man, see, I wanted to interrupt you there. I was trying to be nice, and not, but because I was
couldn't
going to
wait.
say
So, yeah,
uh, something to that. I was going to respond to that.
everything that you know within the circumference of your circle.
No. It was. I don't remember what it was. That's why I'm struggling now. Because if I could, I would say it. So
Should have
let's just move on.
interrupted.
Yeah. Well, because we were talking about the Nuggets, and I was just like, there was a important point that you mentioned that I should have wrote it down, and I just got mystified by what you were saying. So I apologize, everybody. You have to forgive me. I get excited
I
sometimes
do
when
have
she
that
talks.
effect.
Yeah, she's such a lovely lad. Yeah. So all right. So let's go on to the next question then.
Thank you. Yeah.
So you asked me about that. So let's move on to this. So let's talk about the family dynamics. Let's
And
'cause-
parenting.
Yep. So we had a question about that. Well, that ain't even a question. That's a statement. Let's just talk about how your cultural background shaped your views of family, parenting styles, and child rearing. Wow.
Wow, child rearing.
We kind of touched on that last week.
Yes, we did.
Go first.
Well, I'm just gonna say this.
Yes, please.
It was really interesting, to see how similar
Mm-hmm.
and different we were. Remembering how I was parented, and bottom line, I want to say, let me just say it. I saw I saw us passing the pain,
Mm-hmm.
even in this country. Somehow we have this notion that to get somebody to do what you want or to get your point across, you have to inflict pain.
Right.
Whooping kids, and we glorify that, and we feel like we're doing something great when we whoop that,
Mm-hmm.
kids.
When we whooped that what?
I'm just saying, so I made a conscious effort, like that's not how I want to raise my kids or teach my kids lessons. Physical punishment was not, I don't agree with it, because like I said last week, it just made me scared of adults. It didn't teach me anything.
Right.
And if that worked, really, in most of the community, we should have saints walking around.
Right.
Just to show that doesn't work. But as I do some research, because like to Ndombi's point before, remain open-minded, learn a new culture, learn a new language, you'll be amazed. Keep yourself alive. But just learning, I realized that due to colonization,
Mm-hmm.
due to slavery and so forth, somehow we adopted that beating our children is getting our point across. It's not something that's innate to us.
Mm-hmm.
We've learned that behavior somewhere else, and we kept passing it on. So passing that pain, you have kids who say, I can't wait till I'm an adult so I can whoop my kids, and it's like, wow, how disturbing is that?
Right.
So I was talking to my daughter today. I said that behavior ended, with me. Like, we don't whoop our kids. And when you tried, you had a 3-day lecture, and I think you got the point.
Hey, let's welcome.
Yeah.
We got another guest, Mr. Ronald Caldwell. Welcome, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. He has a comment here. I just want to make sure that I get a chance to read it, because this thing is bouncing like crazy.
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah, because
here we go. It says we keep getting them. It says awareness is knowing that your sphere of influence is only a piece of a whole. Very, very true.
Mm-hmm.
The more you become aware of,
the larger,
the more you become aware of, the larger the piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's still a speck compared to the entirety of the universe. Man,
Absolutely.
hey, y'all, man, that house must be some serious philosophers over there.
They read.
Yeah, they on it.
They
man.
got books.
Yeah, oh, that's what it is. I knew it was something.
It took me all the way to a PhD to realize how much I don't know.
Yes.
It's just amazing. Yeah, absolutely agree.
Yeah. Well, why is this thing tripping, man?
and that how much there is to know. Because you don't just stop at like, oh, I don't know much. You become curious about like how much out there is to know. Knowledge is infinite, and I can't press enough.
Right. So, all right. So that was a pretty in-depth response.
Yeah, no, there's more to this, right? There's more to unpack.
No
but
question.
One thing that really stood up, I saw how even movie after movie glorifying beating children. Depending on what culture you're in, some call it spanking, some call it whooping, some call it beat that.
Beat that what?
That whatever.
Beat that rear end. Yeah, beat that rear end. Beat that.
And it's like, why? What is it that's so painful inside that we have to keep passing it on generation after generation? When I was young, my grandmother, when I did something wrong, to teach me morals, my grandmother used to tell me a story. And at the ending, you realize that, no, I don't want to behave that way. Because this is what happened to people who behave in a way that's not acceptable.
Right.
Without having to beat me. I got that. We don't whoop our kids. And our kids, if I may be biased, they turned out really well. Very laid back, very respectful, and we never have to hit them.
Yeah. So hey, I got some whoopings on reserve, though. I've been saving them up. So
because you want to pass on that pain. But
no, why? I don't. I'm saving it just in case they need it.
What makes you think? Okay, let's stop.
Just, I know they're grown, right now, but if for Christmas or something like that, a gift one day, I might just put a little whooping inside a package, put it under the tree.
Well, brother, you need to have some kids with someone else because you ain't whooping my kids.
All right. Well, you ain't got no kids. Them is adults now.
Oh, well, yeah, they're still my kids. Yeah. Now, you can whoop them even if you pray.
Not true.
But no, jokes aside, because, if you think about my kids or something like that, but all of that. But, really, I just wish that that could be something that us adults can really think about. Like, is there any other way to raise your children, teach them, morals and values without having to inflict pain,
right?
Especially when it's not necessary,
right?
I see that a lot, and it just pains me, and we feel like there's no other alternative because the media glorifies that, what I'm saying, but then where we learn this behavior, cutting back. And we think, oh, those kids need beating or everything like that. No, kids are not ours to do whatever we want with them. It's an opportunity to guide, right? Opportunity to teach, opportunity to really take care of someone. Not everybody have that opportunity, So
That's true.
That's one thing that I thought it was, amazing to see how we pass on that pain, and even in the language, the things we say to our kids. All right.
Yeah. hey, ladies and gentlemen, I'm working on her. That's why I got somebody laughing. Who we got? Virginia laughing. I don't know if she's laughing at you or laughing at me, but she's laughing. But
man, that was a part of how I grew up, but it wasn't serving me. I had to change my outlook, how I impact morals.
I think that's impart morals.
Impart morals in our kids. I need my spectacles.
Yeah.
It's also a lot of work, and I'm still learning and processing. Absolutely. Ron, I agree with you 100%. And I'll be honest with you. I know I'm going to get a lot of criticism, but that's fine. Beating your kids, we're being bullies.
Right.
Kids cannot stand up for themselves. And we give ourselves permission to say whatever or even beat them. But we don't do the same with adults. Adults, sometimes they make the same mistakes that the kids make. Your new great carpet. And your friend, can spill some juice even after they see it's new. And they'll be like, oh, I'm sorry. You'll be like, oh, it's okay. It's just a carpet. We'll buy a new one. Could we sit in the kitchen? Right? But if it's a kid, I done told you, you run around with this juice. Now look at my carpet. That's bullying. That adult can stand up for themselves. That's why you don't respond the same way. When they make mistake that you respond, to a kid. So in a way, some element of that is that you realize that a child cannot stand up for themselves. They cannot, talk back or whatever. So you overdo it to feel better about whatever the voice you're trying to feel. So that's part of bullying.
I agree. And that's the part or the experience or the lesson that made me look at it differently. Right? Because I was out of touch with the bullying side of things and just thinking that was the right way to discipline. Right? To get people, or kids anyway, to do what you wanted them to do. That was how I grew up. So when you did something wrong or when you weren't doing what you're supposed to do, you either got punished, like punishment, and
But I will
or
ask, when adults do something wrong, do we beat them? You don't, because they'll fight back.
well, yeah. I mean, in the context of what you're saying, like I said, does it just
Yeah.
help to make sense out of that for somebody who has a different upbringing?
Right.
You see what I mean?
Yeah,
So
that's true.
that's more or less where I came from. So anyway, the goal was to be able to address this aspect of it too, and that was how we blend traditions or celebrating holidays, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna take the lead on this one.
Okay.
No, I'm just teasing.
That's
But
all right.
I don't know. I guess we celebrated like I guess most other people, most holidays, right?
Oh, yeah.
And well, I'm speaking for myself now. As I went growing up, right? We celebrated most holidays, I guess,
Yeah.
to the extent that you can in poverty, right?
Right.
And so you and I, when we got together, right? I wasn't really used to celebrating because it's like celebrating was just acknowledging it, like, oh, it's my birthday, because you didn't really get stuff often. You know what I'm saying? Or if you did, it was like, you know what I mean? So those kinds of things for me kind of influence like my outlook on stuff right now. Even the things that I would celebrate or how I would celebrate something. You know what I mean? Because I just don't get excited about celebrating stuff. You know, like I enjoy the act of doing it when I'm doing it, but I don't get excited about the thought of it coming and playing. And maybe it's just because I'm old and worn out now. But I knew as a kid I used to get excited and let down a lot. So that's where I was just, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. Why
so,
you will have that. Yeah.
But as a collective with you and I, it's kind of like I feel like I don't know if we just kind of absorbed the way that I view things, or if somehow both of our view on that kind of is together. Because I don't see you getting all excited about celebrating. You'll do it, right? Because like it benefits other people that you love, right? So you'll do the Christmas thing, you'll do that. But it's not like you can't wait to put up the Christmas tree. You can't wait to decorate, or you don't pinch people on St. Patrick's Day, or you don't hop around with colorful eggs and stuff. So it's like stuff like that.
Right. Well, let's put it this way. What I do, it's not so much to celebrate whatever the holiday is. And the biggest disadvantage I have is that I'm a reader. So the problem is like I just know a little too much for my own good, right? Who am I celebrating? What ideology am I celebrating? Who told me to celebrate this date or whatever? But not to ruin it for the kids. The
Or
things
yourself.
that I do, or myself, the things that I do is about creating a memory.
Right.
Right. Creating a memory, because I know for us Christmas, we didn't have a whole bunch of, Christmas presents. In fact, if you wanted to see Santa Claus, which we call Father Christmas, you have to go to town. You know what I'm saying? Like it's very different trajectory, if you will, or narrative when it comes to that. But it was Father Christmas, and he doesn't really come into people's chimneys, at least where I grew up.
He don't get stuck in people's chimneys?
Yeah, things like that. So when I first got here, because I was really young, I remember my American family trying to tell me about Santa Claus. Like, yeah, he comes at night, through the chimney and everything, and then he lives. And I was so perplexed. I was like, well, that's rather rude. First and foremost, how can he fit in that chimney? There's silt in there. Why would he want to do that? Why can't you leave a door slightly open for him? All that. It just did not make any sense. Particularly when I saw the picture of him, on television, I was like, that's impossible. But anyway.
No. I'm just going to say we got a great comment that I think you'll enjoy this one. Ntombi, she says here that for myself, I had to unlearn a lot from what I know as parenting to learning my daughter and adjusting into being a good mom to her.
Absolutely.
So come on, give us something on that.
Love it.
She sounds like a very nice young lady, doesn't she?
I want her to be my mom.
Oh.
This Mandombi looks like our kids. She has these two lines every time she smiles, and so
man,
people around us have been teasing.
Hey, you just like a mother. Everybody look like your kids.
She is. Her daughter,
Anybody
when she
cute?
was
That's
here,
you be claiming everybody. Oh, she's so
yeah,
cute. She look just like
she
my
was
kid.
blending with our kids, like
Hmm.
so. But yeah, that's
Okay, let's see here.
absolutely I
What
can
we
see
got
that.
here? All right. I kind of understand from both perspectives,
Perspective,
really,
yeah,
on how some people celebrate and why some people don't. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm with you, and I'm open to either. Cause like,
yeah.
if you want to celebrate, I make space for other people. You
Mhm,
know,
mhm.
but if you want me to get all excited out and bent out of shape like you are, then you're probably gonna be disappointed because
Mhm.
I will celebrate, I'll have fun, I'll enjoy, but it's not like I don't wake up and look for these kind of things,
Right.
which is very different than
We
some
we
other
used
people.
to though. We just did it
No, I
differently.
didn't.
Instead of yes, we
Nah,
did. We used to hide
uh,
the presents all over the house, and we used to get a
that was
kick
me
out of
participating.
watching the kids running
Hmm.
around looking for their present. That was so much fun. You were the biggest clown too. Like you were the biggest kid when it came to that. So don't even try it. It just all depends. But you said that you used to get disappointed a lot.
Hmm.
When I'm hearing you, there's a reason why you didn't have the same outlook as everybody else who was excited
And I
about
still
it.
don't. See,
Yeah.
I'm like what I said about you.
Hmm.
I'm happy to please other people.
That's what it
So
is.
for
Yeah,
that,
creating those
I
memories.
will. That's what
The chimney.
Yeah,
Right.
man. I'm sorry, I meant to read that. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Compass Ion said by the time he got down to Tim, he'd already be black anyway. you know.
See, you know what? I might have to give you a call after that.
Hey,
The chimney meant the chimney. He
that's
fixed
what
the
I'm
chimney.
saying.
But logically, it just didn't make any sense,
Right.
right? And so there's a lot of things that just were not adding up. So they finally just say, you know what? Whatever you do, just don't ruin it for other kids in the house because I just couldn't. To me, they couldn't make sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And especially when they say all over the world with his flying rainbow, all of that just didn't make any sense. So I started asking a lot of questions. And when I was a kid, my favorite subject was science.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't add up, and I quickly started asking the questions that were sometimes it was concerning making adults mad. Don't get me started on Thanksgiving,
Right.
because by the time my first the Thanksgiving, I already read this book, Bury My Cups in the Wounded Knee by D. Brown. I forgot exactly that, but D. Brown, Bury the Wounded Knee. I think that's what it was
Yeah.
called. So I've learned a lot about
Mm-hmm.
history here. So the Thanksgiving and the explanation for that, I started asking questions or trying to have a conversation, and a lot of people were getting upset, and I didn't understand. But I quickly learned, as a learner, it's like I'm not allergic to the truth, no matter who's telling it.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's about me or about African history or anything like that. That's another thing that was surprising in this country. A lot of people get upset about the truth depending on what it is that they trust or have land or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I always said, like, look, this is not to offend you, this is a historical fact, and please go look it up, and if I'm wrong, please come back and rescue me from my ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
But don't be so mad.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I was like, I will never be mad. If you want to talk about the history of South Africa, all of it, the good, the bad, and the ugly, you will never see me taking it personal, because that's just information to learn and to reason from. So that's another thing that's still surprising to me, and which kind of like denies us the opportunity to learn and share information,
Mm-hmm.
because you don't want to offend each other. So that's really bizarre.
Right.
I haven't met a lot of people back home. The more you can challenge me back home, the more exciting it is.
Mm-hmm.
So same thing with the holidays and the celebration. So I participated because I want to create the memory. I have memories of Christmas back home. Every small kid wake up and take a shower and put on your new outfit and walk around the village, and then the adults will celebrate you, sometimes by giving you a gift or giving you money, but it's everybody around the community. You don't sit in your own house and exchange gifts there. So for South African kids,
That's
the
interesting.
whole year you're really good because you're looking for that Christmas dress, and then the boys, of course, for that Christmas suit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then you wear just once a year. Same thing in New Year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very different thing. So those memories were amazing, especially a month in November. Every kid, you start being good. You're doing all your chores and everything because you're looking for that best Christmas dress.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mean to jump in, but
Yep.
we already over the hour now. So
Yeah.
since you were on the roll, I'm gonna let you wrap it up. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, this is our last show for 2024.
Oh yes.
And it's been a great experience thus far. And we thank everybody who has joined us and who has commented, who shared and participated.
Yeah.
So why don't you see us off the show? And hey, this is it. You ending our year. So go ahead, Doc.
Oh wow, you full of surprises.
Oh,
But I
yeah.
just want to say how much I appreciated everybody who was able to join us today. You know, my sister Virginia Anderson there, you know, Cardwell.
Yeah.
All right, girl, I'm still stuck in the past. But don't be Ron, all of you. You know, I really appreciate sharing
Compass
this
Iron, don't
conversation.
forget Compass in there.
Iron,
Yep.
you know. Sharing this
We got
space
Talia.
with us, this
We gotta say
2024.
everybody.
Yeah, Talia.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, brings back memories. Talia and I, boy, we just knew we were gonna be the African dancers forever when everybody quit. But she done moved away from me, so
All right.
there go my dance crew. Anyway, very good to see everybody. We're gonna close the show by letting you know that it was a wonderful 2024, lot of successes, and a lot of things that we are going to do better in 2025.
All right. So what's our hope for 2025? Let's leave these folks. We gotta leave a turkey nugget on the table. That's how we got to end the 2024 to go in 2025. We got to leave something delicious
and you
there.
go fast on that. Since
no.
I'll be talking.
This is your baby now.
Yeah.
So leave a turkey nugget, and it don't have to be because we done had several shows.
Yeah.
We done talked about a lot of different things.
Yeah.
We have had the opportunity to conversate with various people, get comments from people.
Yeah.
You know, so what one thing in 2024 would you say your experience has led you to that you can leave on the table that maybe other people can take it and leverage it and utilize it for a better 2025?
Oh, wow. It's a lot, but I'm going to summarize it by saying, you know, one thing, as I get older, I realize that loving yourself, showing yourself grace, be less critical of yourself. The world will do that anyway. Be less disappointed with yourself. The world will do that. So please take time. Self-care is a huge factor. You know, like I said, as I grow older, and we spend a lot of time being fearing judgment from others, and then finding ourselves boxing ourselves into whatever, trying to create a relationship. So for me, and I'll share this with everybody, be your authentic self and become very comfortable in your own skin. You know, those who love you will be there, and those who don't, they're simply none of your business. Let them go.
Right.
That's all I have to say. And remain a learner. Remember to keep learning and growing.
Right. Okay. So for me, I'm going to leave this nugget. And my nugget is just going to be really about what I have gained. Or what I've learned so far from conversations under the hood. One thing is that positivity is something that is contagious. The more people that you can get to participate in your positivity, the more positive your environment becomes.
Yes.
And I think I'm a living witness of that. You know, people say often that, you know, the company that you keep, you know, those 5 closest people to you will dictate, you know, really who you are. And the 5 closest people to me are my family. And so I have the blessing to have you all as motivation. And, you know, so I encourage other people that are out there that might be watching this to lean on your family, to love on your family, to allow them to love on you. And make that a goal of 2025 is bringing family back together, bringing family closer together in ways where we can do things together, we can learn together, and we can grow together, and just ultimately have a loving culture. You know, I feel like that's 2025 needs to bring about some kind of loving culture in the community.
Absolutely.
And so I'm gonna leave you on that. So let's develop a culture of love, and if we have to just start it right here on Conversations Under the Hood, then so be it.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for a great
Happy New
2024.
Year.
Happy
Happy
New Year to
holidays.
all of you, and we hope you have a fabulous and wonderful and unlimitedly
Joyous
successful 2025.
prosperity,
Yes,
self-care, self-love, family. Clean your house first before you worry about somebody else's house. You know, more to what my husband was saying. So we will see you next Sunday. We appreciate all of you so much. You
absolutely.
know, thank you.
Absolutely. Hey, and on that note, we out of here. See you
All
in
right, see y'all.
2025, baby. Peace.